A forest, kindly used, may outlive unimaginably any of its trees. An ecosystem, the web of relationships by which a place and its creatures sustain a mutual life, ultimately is mysterious, like life itself. We can know enough, and probably only enough, to tell us how little we know and to make us careful. But a properly diversified forest economy produces more than trees, of course, and a healthy forest contributes to the health of the soil, water, air, and all other constituents of the natural world. The forest submits to compromise only by allowing the foresters to take timber and other forest products for human use, if they can do so without destroying the integrity and the continuous productivity of the ecosystem.
My wife Lynn and I were the founder of the foundation simply because we had purchased some properties and we wanted to come with what we thought was the best option for taking care of those properties on a very long term. We actually contacted a few other organizations and how the properties would be taken care of, and simply came to the conclusion that maybe the best option was to start our own individual entity with all what we would have as our goals for those properties, which mainly is the preservation and prevention of subdivision and the continuation of good forestries on those properties.
The Foundation for Sustainable Forests, the mission is to conserve forested land, but the direct conservation of land, keeping it from being subdivided, fragmented, is really in a lot of ways a critical step and an important step, but the job isn't done at that point. It is also the stewardship of that land, so how we manage it so that we can keep them active as working forests that contribute to the local economy, but also keep them healthy, resilient, and diverse to support all the different wildlife in this area is just as important. So it's these two pieces to our mission, the direct conservation of land, but then also we're taking on at that moment the burden of responsibility to make sure that that land is healthy and managed well, not just for the ecosystem itself, but also for the rural economy.
The forests in our region face a number of threats. Issues such as subdivision, development, erosion and sedimentation issues, invasive plants. We have forest pests and diseases that are killing certain tree species. Our forests are also facing some larger external impacts such as harmful management practices or harvests that are not done thoughtfully. So those high-grade harvests over time result in the forests of our area being less healthy and less resilient and less productive. So the work that FSF is doing is to demonstrate how better management and more thoughtful harvest practices can lead to higher productivity and greater financial returns in addition to a healthier forest ecosystem. The silvicultural system that the Foundation for Sustainable Forests uses focuses on really two primary methods or aspects. The first is single tree selection harvests, where the forestry staff from FSF will go out through the forest and select trees for harvest that are of poorer quality, lower potential, or are facing some substantial health issues. The second silvicultural process that FSF uses is often referred to as Femmelschlags, or expanding gap openings. The idea or purpose behind those expanding gaps is to let in a larger amount of sunlight to the forest floor and allow small tree seedlings to grow well, getting enough sunlight to become vigorous and eventually reach the upper canopy level. Those gap openings that we create tend to be anywhere from 1/4 acre in size up to maybe 1 or 1.5 acres in size. So they're not large areas, but they're large enough that when the overstory trees are removed, a lot of sunlight reaches the forest floor. And that not only helps small tree seedlings, but it also helps wildflowers and other understory plants. So the forest management work that the foundation is doing is fairly unique in our region and maybe even in the country. Because of the abundant habitat that we're creating, our silvicultural system has caught the attention of the National Aviary, and some of the songbird researchers involved with the aviary are now studying the forests that we use and manage and analyzing our silvicultural system to determine the quality and abundance of songbird habitat on foundation lands. That's a wonderful partnership that we have with the National Aviary, including the Director of Conservation Science, Steve Latta.
Horses are a really unique way for the foundation to practice ecological forestry and to lower the impact that timber harvesting has on a forest. And that's really the most important thing. So we use horses to skid, to drag logs out of the woods after they have been felled. And we often put a lot of emphasis on the horses and the skidding of the logs as opposed to a mechanical skidder, which is more likely to compact the soil, for example, or potentially damage some trees on the way out, or just require a wider path than a horse would. But the other piece that doesn't get emphasized enough is the role of the tree feller, of the person who's cutting the trees down. Because when we're taking a tree down, it's usually in an area where there's advanced regeneration, so a future forest has started to grow, and if they drop the tree right on top of that regeneration and smash it, well, we have defeated the purpose of trying to remove that tree to let that regeneration succeed. It's that kind of perfect marriage between directional felling, really careful felling of the trees, and then the lower impact removal of the trees from the forest that makes a really nice combination. We've worked with a lot of different either individuals or families to help them conserve their property. And their stories are all very unique, but some of the most common threads are they care about the land. Maybe that's because of the family's history on the property. In this case, the property we're sitting on right now, Jane Woods' family had owned the property for nearly 100 years. And they care about the land, they have a history on the land, and they're concerned about its future. And they recognize that we offer a means through which they can see their forest stay a forest and be managed for its health, basically in perpetuity.
He cares not about how much money he can get off of your land, but how to build your land so that you can enjoy it longer, and it'll actually produce more money for more time.
Every member of the foundation is very knowledgeable. They can assist you, whether it's a simple cut or a legacy situation where maybe you want to give them timbering rights and split that with your estate, or you want to just donate the land. They have the capability of doing that, because again, one of the things we're concerned about is how is the land going to be treated in the future. We don't want to do what's best for the land during our lifespan only to see somebody else come in and high grade it and mess it all up. We want, and again, the foundation will give that ability to protect the land forever.
And I think he's really committed to the idea of long-term sustainability of these forests and being able to see forests that are productive over a long period of time, that they help the community, providing jobs and timber and other resources that are needed. And so this is something that I've wanted to support over those number of years that I've been involved with.
They were in this year and last year, and they did the worst first cut. And what I tell my neighbors is, I'm weeding the garden. And everybody understands weeding the garden. He had every bit of an interest in the results of the cut as I did. He wanted to make sure that we did a proper cut and a proper removal. and he was every bit as concerned as myself. And I owned the property for 40 years. A man only lives for, at the best, 75 to 80 years, and we don't have the long-term outlook on a woodlot. A woodlot needs hundreds of years. And these guys, I can leave it with these guys, and they'll carry on the work I've started.
We rely heavily on the donation of forests. If someone is in a position to be able to donate land to the foundation and their desire is to see it basically forever protected as a conservation, as an ecological working forest, that is one of the best pathways for us to be able to conserve forested land. To call the donation of land a gift is such an understatement, because it's such a huge legacy to leave. It's not just about your own memories and your own family's tenure on the land, it's what this land will do for your community, both near and far, that makes it such a tremendous gift. We often describe ourselves as being a very unique organization, and we are. You know, the forestry that we practice is not the predominant form of forestry in the region, although I'm really happy to say that it is growing. People are recognizing the value that it can still provide products to industry, but also provide habitat and resilience that our forests so badly need. We are unique, but we don't want to stay that way.
We are modeling for a variety of different landowners. Those could be larger public landowners or smaller private landowners, industrial lands. The style that we use for managing our forests is a wonderful example to other folks so that they know how to best handle and address the same issues that their forests are facing.
One of the most interesting and engaging pieces of this work is the constant reminder of the interconnectedness between people and the land. Every single person that we work with in this, who engages with this organization, has a story to tell, and the more questions you ask, the more you find out how interesting that story is, and how, in a way, it helps to make sense of the lens they're looking through when they're thinking about the future of their forest and why they care about forests. It's just there's just something about forests that evokes a lot of emotion and a lot of kind of powerful feelings for people, and it's really kind of a privilege to get to hear those stories.